I'm convinced that the best way for these people, so Tisha, Wanda, and co, to get people to watch the show is by talking about Melody. Because low-key, I'm just like, why are we talking about this years later? Why is this a topic of conversation? But since it has been brought into this fair, we are going to talk about it. Tisha reveals that Melody and Martell did not want the Core Six to discuss Martell's cheating on the show. If anything, I feel like this makes Tisha and them lot look even worse. Because if they didn't want people to talk about it on the show, why did you guys talk about it? Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. I'm so sorry it's been a while. Your girl was not feeling well, but I am back now. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post or go live. Also, you can now hype videos, so please hype the videos so that you can put us in the algorithm so that our audience and more people can find us. Thank you so much. Now let's get into it. Tisha had a conversation with DJ Richie Sky, and I just feel like it felt like almost bringing back things that were not necessary, or that they were being told in a way that I believe is dishonest and unnecessary. Now, I say that because I personally feel like DJ Richie Sky asked the question about where is she with her friendship with Melody, yet she decided to use that opportunity to talk about previous and historic things between her and Melody. And this is the thing. I personally feel like Tisha lacks the ability to take a step back and move on from things. Just because you can't hold grudges forever. And that is tainting the way you continue to tell the story. You could have said, oh, Melody and I are not like that tight anymore. So much has happened, but I wish her the best. That could have been the end of it. Yet you chose that moment to try to expose Martell and Melody when that was not necessary. Now, we will talk about whether or not that's even true, because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there a whole conversation about this at a previous reunion where Melody clarified that she did not tell them not to talk about it? There was no pact between her and them not to talk about it. It was Martell was the one that did not want them to talk about it. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the same thing that Kimmy endorsed. So I don't understand why Tisha is trying to rewrite history yet again. And I feel like this is why it's so hard to take Tisha seriously, because honey, we have moved on from this. Why are we talking about this yet again in the year 2025? And why are we talking like Melody was part of some sort of pact not to talk about the cheating? You know that everyone feels like Melody is transparent. And is it like you're trying to say that to give the impression that Melody did not want her business out there when that was not the case? I just don't like when people reinvent history and lie. And either way, it's like, girl, get over it. How many years has it been? Why do you have to bring that up when he's asking you a present conversation about what is your relationship like with Melody at this stage? Let's get back into what Tisha said, and I'll come back to my views, right? So she said that she wants to give a bit of context. Before the show, her and Martell and the Scotts were pretty much very close. And they hung out all the time. There was always sleepover in each other's houses. They had breakfast together. So it sounded like they were cool, right? And then she said, like, when the whole infidelity thing happened with Martell 2 years before the show started, they had all discussed not talking about it. She also alluded to Melody and Martell doing the crazy social media stuff. And my thing, I think what frustrates me more is how someone like that, as a woman, can make it seem like it's not okay for Melody to want to speak out on social media when all this man has done is try to dog her out. Like, this is the reason why people do not like you, Tisha. Can you, for the one time, for the very first time in your life, be on the right side of history? Can you be on the right side of supporting another woman who has gone through a lot and who, according to you, you've never had to deal with that, but there should still be some empathy for what she has been through? Don't make it seem like, oh, it's Melody's joy to bring things onto social media. She brings it to social media when she has no option. Like Martell basically harassing her in front of the courthouse. That was completely unnecessary. So of course she is bringing it to social media so that it can be documented. Ma'am. I honestly cannot stand when women blame other women for how they choose to handle certain things. Like, honey, okay, you wouldn't handle it that way. As it happened to you though. As it happened to you? Have you had a man cheat on you the way Martell has? Have you had a man have a baby on you? Have you had a man threaten to release revenge payout on you and take steps to actively try to do that through his side chick? Have you dealt with all of these things before? Have you dealt with a man that continues to harass you even when you don't want anything to do with him? When he's constantly talking and insinuating that you are the one cheating when he's the one that was caught cheating? Have you ever dealt with that? If the answer is no, then you have no business, Miss Tisha. You have no business speaking on what people should and shouldn't be doing. At least without having some level of empathy for the person who is the victim in this situation. She then tells us that Melody and Martell were going through it, and then afterwards they got back together, and that they didn't hear from them for about a year until they called them to talk about joining the show. Here's my thing. If you guys were good friends, if you don't hear from your so-called friend for a while, and you know that your friend or your friends are dealing with infidelity, why wouldn't you be picking up the phone to call them? Why wouldn't you be sending cards? Why wouldn't you be sending notes? Instead, you said we didn't hear from them for about a year. Did you reach out to them and they didn't reach out, or you didn't reach out at all to these people, despite knowing that they were going through stuff? I almost believe that they didn't reach out to them, because if they did, wouldn't that be something that Tisha, since she likes to tell it all, wouldn't that be something that Tisha would have said? She didn't say that, so that gives me the impression that they did not reach out to these people. They left it. They were just like, well, I'm not getting involved. They left it. They said nothing. A year later, apparently Melody and Martell called them and talked to them about joining or doing an interview for the show, and that's how they got on. So I just think like there is a responsibility. If you have not heard from your friend in a while and your friend has talked to you about going through stuff, you pick up the freaking phone and you call your friend. You send flowers. You make the effort. If you reach out to them once and they don't respond, reach back out again, because they are going through stuff, right? That is what a friend does. Not then try to make it seem like, yeah, we didn't hear from them from a year. Oh, for a year. Okay, girl, did you call them? Did you reach out? Did you try to get them? If the answer is no, then I guess it's obvious that you really did not see a friendship with them. It was just a relationship of convenience. Then Tisha also brought up the fact that they had stopped talking to her because at the time she was saying Martell blamed the guys for stepping out, and that put a strain on their relationship, basically the relationship between her and Mel. My thing is, Tisha be over fighting those battles. If Marceau, the husband that was being blamed for this whole breakdown of the relationship, was not as pressed and was still cool with Martell, then what is your problem? Why is that such a big deal to you then? Right? It's okay to feel some type of way, but like he's gotten over it. He's cool with the guy now. So what's the problem? That shouldn't come in between your relationship with Melody if that was your true friend. Now, that may stop you from doing double dates with them. That may stop you from wanting Martell to be in your space, which I completely understand. But that should not stop Melody from being your friend, because at the end of the day, Melody did not say that you guys caused this. She said Martell said this. So that is why is she then being blamed, and why is she the one having to take the blame, having to experience the impact of dealing with somebody like Martell on her friendships? It doesn't make any sense. And this is why I feel like there wasn't really a true friendship to begin with. Because if there was really a true friendship, I'm not about to let a man interrupt what I and my homegirl have going on when the man has shown himself to be a good for nothing cheat. Like, what are we doing? She then also talked about when she got on the show with Martell and Melody, seeing them talk about the infidelity put a strain on their relationship. because she thought they would have gotten over it by now. I'm like, sis, like you said, you ain't never been in that situation before. So you cannot tell people how long it would take them to process an infidelity. Okay? Like, these are the things where I'm like, it's either she's just in la la land or doesn't care about anybody but herself. But I don't understand how she says these things and articulates herself like this and doesn't think about the implications of what it is that she's saying. Like, honey, take a step back for a second. If you were in that situation, would you be okay with somebody saying, like, I know you've dealt with infidelity, but you should have gotten over it by now. Like, sis, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are some screws loose? Like, these are the questions that I have, because it just feels like it is lacking of empathy. She did also mention that when producers asked them questions about it, they were surprised about it. And so then they decided that Marceau will talk to Martell and she will talk to Mel. Here's my thing. If you guys really had a pact behind the scenes, why, even if a producer comes to you to talk about it, you could have said, well, that's not our business. It is what it is. I think they dealt with that in the past. Or you don't even need to say, I think that you could have said, I know nothing about that. That could have been the end of the conversation. Now, you guys know I'm fair on this channel, so I will throw them a bone. And the bone I'm going to throw them is because this is the first time they're navigating being on TV. I can understand them not knowing how to really have the conversation or whether or not the conversation should be had. But where I will say I do agree that there was no need for you to be laughing about it, making jokes about it, expecting them to have gotten over it when you have never been in that situation, ma'am. I have no issue with Tisha saying what she wants to say if that's what she feels like saying. But at the same time, I feel like it's a bit annoying that now she's bringing Melody into the conversation. Melody is no longer on the show, 1. 2, Melody has cleared it up that she had no issues with that being discussed. That was not her. Did she ever ask them to not talk about it? No, it was Martell that said not to talk about it. And so it just feels like Tisha has this thing where every time Martell says something, she blames Melody for it. And I feel like it's because she has deep-rooted insecurities and or jealousies towards Melody. Because it's so obvious, there have been so many incidents where it will be something that Martell has said, but the way she would frame it will also include Melody. And it's like, why are you including Melody when it is Martell that is the culprit? And this is where I feel like a lot of the issues that Tisha has with Melody stem from. I feel like Tisha probably low-key doesn't like Mel because she feels like her husband kinda is enamored by Mel, likes Mel in some way, is inspired by Mel in some way, and I don't think she likes it. That is understandable, but that has nothing to do with Mel. I think what is unacceptable is give the people what the people did, right? If Martell did something, call Martell out and say, Martell said this. Don't make it into a unit. Oh, they said this. Martell and Melody said this, when Melody did not say none of that out of her mouth. And I feel like, and I understand that, yes, people feel like a married couple are a unit. But when it comes to you saying who said what and stuff like that, especially when a divorce has happened, please be clear. Mel said this, Martell said this, not Mel and Martell said this, especially because that has been debunked. If I'm not mistaken, and you guys can correct me, you guys be remembering stuff, and I appreciate it, so feel free to correct me in the comment section. But low-key, I feel like I remember this coming up at the reunion, and I remember Melody clarifying that she did not say not to talk about it. That was Martell. And I recall, if I'm not mistaken, that Kimmy also agreed that Melody did not say not to talk about it. That was Martell. And so my thing is, why is it that somewhere in Tisha's mind, it has still registered as being Melody? And now they're asking you about Melody and your relationship with her now, yet you're using the opportunity to take it back to years ago to talk about and practically blame her yet again. It's very exhausting, and I can understand why Melody may feel like, what is left in this friendship? There was nothing there. It wasn't a relationship of substance. There's no bad blood, but there is nothing left in this. And to also think that when Tisha was in a bind of some sort, she called Melody, yet cannot give her no props, cannot, even use the opportunity to keep things light, but still finds a way to drag it. At this point, I do low-key feel like it is done for attention, and these people love the attention, and that is why they keep on bringing Melody into the conversation, because I feel like if Melody wasn't brought into this conversation, would we really be talking about it? Would this be a huge story that people want us to discuss or people want to listen to commentary about? I query that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button, and tap that bell button right next to it so you know every single time that I post or go live. And I will see you guys in the comment section. Bye.